It was a quiet night in the small town of Willowbrook. Emma, a curious and brave girl, had just returned home after a long day at her job at the town library. As usual, she sat by her bedroom window, staring at the stars, wondering if life existed beyond Earth. But tonight was different. As Emma gazed at the sky, a bright flash of light zipped across the sky. It wasn't an airplane or a shooting star. It was something bigger, something unfamiliar. Before she could blink, the light zoomed down and landed in the forest near her house. Emma's heart raced. Could it be? Could she really be seeing a UFO? Her best friend, Max, who lived next door, called her immediately. Did you see that, Emma? It looked like it landed in the woods. Max was always the adventurous type, never shying away from danger. I saw it too, Emma replied. Let's go check it out. The two grabbed their flashlights and snuck out of their homes, heading toward the dark woods. The trees loomed tall, casting eerie shadows, but they kept moving forward, their curiosity too strong to ignore. As they approached the clearing, they saw it, a sleek, silver spaceship, unlike anything they had ever seen. It looked like something out of a sci-fi movie. The door slowly slid open with a soft whoosh. Out stepped the strangest, yet most fascinating creature Emma had ever seen. The alien was tall and slender, with skin that shimmered like the night sky. Its large, bright blue eyes looked both curious and kind. The alien waved its three-fingered hand in a friendly gesture. Max, always the one to speak first, asked, "Are you from another planet?" The alien smiled, or at least Emma thought it was a smile. "Yes, I am Zevron, from the planet Valtoria. I come in peace." Emma felt her heart skip a beat. There was something about Zevron, his calm presence, his gentle voice. It was strange, but she felt a connection to him. "Why are you here?" Emma asked, stepping closer. Zevron looked at her, his eyes locking with hers. "I've been traveling through the stars, searching for something. I felt a pull to this planet, to this place. And now I know why." Emma's face turned red. She didn't know why, but it felt like Zevron was speaking directly to her. It was as if he had traveled across the galaxy just to find her. Max, sensing the tension, nudged Emma. Emma, are you okay?" But Emma barely heard him. "What do you mean? Why were you drawn here?" Zevron's eyes softened. "It's hard to explain, but on my planet, we believe that every soul has a match somewhere in the universe. I think I've found mine." Max's jaw dropped. "Wait, are you saying you're in love with Emma?" "You're an alien," Zevron chuckled. "Love doesn't have boundaries, does it?" Emma couldn't believe what she was hearing. An alien, from a completely different world, was claiming to be in love with her. It sounded impossible, but deep down, she couldn't deny the strange pull she felt towards Zevron. Before she could say anything, there was a loud noise in the distance, like a helicopter, but much louder. Max turned around and gasped. "Emma, we gotta go. It's the government. They must have seen the spaceship land." Sure enough, several military trucks were making their way toward the clearing. Soldiers, armed with strange devices, were getting out, looking ready to capture anything that moved. Zevron's eyes widened with fear. "I can't let them take me. If they do, they'll never let me leave Earth." Without thinking, Emma grabbed Zevron's hand. "We have to hide. Follow me." Max, Emma, and Zevron ran deeper into the forest, their feet pounding against the soft earth. The trees grew thicker, and the night darker. But Emma wasn't afraid. She knew she had to protect Zevron. They eventually found an old, abandoned cabin hidden behind thick vines and bushes. They ducked inside, hearts racing. Max was panting, trying to catch his breath. "What now, Emma? We can't hide here forever." Emma looked at Zevron. "Can't you just leave in your spaceship?" Zevron shook his head. "Not yet. My ship needs time to recharge before it can take off again. It'll take a few hours. We'll have to keep you hidden until then," Emma said. "We can't let the government capture you." Zevron's eyes were filled with gratitude. "Thank you, Emma. I never imagined I'd meet someone like you. You're so kind." Emma blushed again, feeling her heart flutter. Was she really falling for an alien? This was insane. As the hours passed, The bond between Emma and Zevron grew stronger. They talked about everything. His planet, Valtoria, which was covered in crystal lakes and floating cities, and her life on Earth, with its simple beauty and quiet moments. Zevron told her how, on Valtoria, love wasn't about appearances or status. It was about finding someone whose soul resonated with your own. Emma couldn't help but wonder if that's what was happening between them. Meanwhile, Max kept watch, making sure the soldiers didn't find their hiding spot. "I can't believe this is happening," Max muttered to himself. "My best friend is falling for an alien. This is the weirdest night of my life." Finally, as dawn approached, Zevron's ship was ready to take off. "I have to go," Zevron said, his voice filled with sadness. "But I'll never forget you, Emma." Emma felt tears well up in her eyes. She didn't want him to leave, but she knew he couldn't stay. "Will I ever see you again?" Zevron gently touched her hand, his blue eyes full of warmth. "I promise one day I'll return. No matter how far I travel, I'll always find my way back to you." With one last look, Zevron stepped into his ship. The door closed, and the craft slowly rose into the sky, disappearing into the stars. Emma stood there, watching him leave, her heart heavy yet hopeful. She knew their story wasn't over. Somewhere, out there in the vast universe, Zevron was thinking of her. And one day, they would meet again. But until then, Emma would keep looking up at the stars, waiting for the love that traveled across worlds to find her once more. Weeks passed since Zevron's departure, but Emma couldn't stop thinking about him. Life in Willowbrook returned to normal, or at least, as normal as it could be after falling for an alien. She kept the secret between herself, Max, and Zevron. No one else could know. Max, who was always up for an adventure, tried to lighten the mood. You could write a book about this, Emma. Asterisk, how to fall in love with an alien in 10 days. Asterisk, it'll be a bestseller. Emma rolled her eyes but smiled. "It's not a joke, Max. I miss him." Max sighed, throwing a rock into the pond where they often hung out. "Yeah, I know. But you can't spend your whole life waiting for him. What if he doesn't come back?" Emma didn't have an answer. The truth was, she didn't know if Zevron would return. She didn't know if it was even possible for him to keep his promise. But deep down, she felt something, an unshakable connection that she couldn't explain. As the days turned into months, Emma started noticing strange things happening around her. It began with the stars. Every night, a peculiar star twinkled brighter than the others. It flickered in the same spot in the sky where Zevron's ship had disappeared. And then there were the dreams. In her sleep, Emma would see flashes of strange cities floating in the sky with shimmering lakes and towers made of crystal, places Zevron had told her about. She could feel his presence in those dreams, like he was trying to reach her, even from across the galaxy. One night, as she stood by her window staring at the bright star, a soft whisper filled the air. "Emma!" She spun around, her heart pounding. The voice sounded so familiar. It was Zevron's. "Zevron?" she whispered, unsure if she was going crazy. Then she saw it, a shimmering light flickering near her bed. As it grew brighter, the air crackled with energy. And then, out of nowhere, Zevron appeared. His tall, slender figure materialized in the room, just as she remembered him, his eyes glowing softly in the dark. "Zevron!" Emma gasped, rushing toward him. Zevron smiled warmly. "I told you I'd come back." Emma's heart raced. "But how?" "You're here in my room." Zevron nodded. "It wasn't easy. I've been trying to reach you, but traveling through space takes time. I found a way to send my essence here, while my body remains on Valtoria. It's temporary, but I had to see you." Emma felt a mix of emotions, joy, disbelief, excitement. "I can't believe you're really here." Zevron's expression softened. "I've missed you, Emma. More than I can explain. My world is beautiful, but it feels empty without you." Emma blushed, her heart swelling. "I missed you too. But how long can you stay like this?" Zevron looked down, his face shadowed with regret. "Not long. My connection to Earth is unstable. I came to warn you. Something is happening, and I need your help." Emma's mind spun. "Warn me? About what?" Zevron's eyes darkened. The reason I was drawn to Earth wasn't just fate. There are other beings from across the galaxy who've discovered your planet. Some are not as peaceful as I am. They've been watching Earth, and they're planning something dangerous. Emma's heart skipped a beat. What do they want? They want to invade, Zevron said quietly. They see Earth as a resource-rich planet, ripe for the taking. They don't care about its people or its beauty. To them, it's just another conquest. Emma's stomach twisted. This couldn't be real. First, she falls for an alien, and now her planet is in danger from hostile extraterrestrials? What can we do? She asked, her voice trembling. I've alerted my people on Valtoria, Zevron said. But we can't get here in time to stop the invasion. There's a device, a powerful relic hidden on Earth, left here long ago by an ancient race. It has the ability to shield the planet from outside threats, but it's been lost for centuries. Where is it? Emma asked, her pulse quickening. Zevron looked at her with a serious expression. That's the thing. It's hidden somewhere near Willowbrook. Emma's eyes widened. What? Here? In this small town? Yes, Zevron replied. I need you to find it, Emma. You and Max. You're the only ones I trust. Emma felt a surge of adrenaline. She had always dreamed of adventures beyond the ordinary, but this was something else. The fate of the world was at stake. I'll do it, she said firmly. But where do we start? Zevron's form flickered, his presence growing fainter. Start in the woods where we first met. There's something there, an old monument. It will guide you. Emma nodded, determination filling her. She wasn't just doing this for herself. She was doing it for Zevron and for the planet she loved. I'll find it, Zevron. I promise. Zevron's voice grew softer as he began to fade. I believe in you, Emma. I'll be watching over you. And when this is over, I'll come back for real. Before Emma could say anything else, Zevron vanished, leaving behind only a soft, shimmering glow. The next morning, Emma called Max and explained everything. Of course, Max was skeptical at first. Wait, let me get this straight. Zevron came back, in ghost form, to tell you about an alien invasion? And now we're supposed to find some ancient device to stop it. Emma nodded. That's right. Max groaned. This is the craziest thing you've ever dragged me into. But I'm in. I mean, how many chances do you get to save the world? Together. They packed supplies and headed back into the woods where it all began. As they trekked deeper, Emma couldn't shake the feeling that this was just the beginning of something far bigger than she had ever imagined. Somewhere out there, across the stars, Zevron was waiting. But first, she had to protect Earth, her world, their world. As they reached the clearing, Max stopped in his tracks, staring at something in the distance. Emma, do you see that? There, hidden among the trees, stood a tall, ancient stone monument, covered in strange symbols that glowed faintly. Emma's heart raced. This was it, the key to saving Earth. Their adventure had just begun. The monument loomed before them, tall and ancient, with glowing symbols etched into the stone. The soft light pulsed, as if it had been waiting for someone to discover it. Emma and Max stood in awe, their hearts pounding with both excitement and fear. This is it, Emma whispered. Zevron said the monument would guide us. Max raised an eyebrow, his flashlight flickering in the dim light. And how exactly is this thing supposed to help? It looks like it's been here for 1,000 years. Emma stepped closer, running her fingers over the strange markings. They felt warm to the touch, almost alive. Suddenly, the symbols began to shift, rearranging themselves into a pattern that formed a doorway in the stone. Max stepped back, eyes wide. Did you just open that? I think so, Emma replied, equally shocked. But I didn't do anything. It's like it responded to me. Without hesitation, Emma stepped through the opening. Max, muttering to himself about how crazy this all was, followed closely behind. They found themselves in a dimly lit tunnel, the walls glowing faintly with the same alien symbols. I have a bad feeling about this, Max muttered, but Emma pressed forward. As they walked deeper into the tunnel, Emma's mind raced. The weight of what Zevron had told her kept swirling in her thoughts. An invasion? Ancient alien technology? It was all overwhelming, but she knew they didn't have time to waste. They had to find the device before it was too late. After what felt like hours of walking, the tunnel opened into a massive underground chamber. In the center of the room stood a large, glowing orb, floating just above the ground. It pulsed with a soft, blue light, radiating power. "That has to be it," Emma said, her voice barely a whisper. Max nodded. "Okay, so we grab it and get out of here, right?" But as they approached the orb, the ground shook beneath their feet. The walls of the chamber began to vibrate, and a low, ominous hum filled the air. Emma," Max said, eyes wide. "I think we triggered something." Suddenly, from the shadows of the chamber, several tall, armored figures emerged. They looked like ancient warriors, their bodies covered in shimmering metal and their faces obscured by masks. Their eyes glowed with the same blue light as the orb. Emma's heart pounded. "Who are they?" "I don't know," Max whispered, backing up slowly. "But I don't think they're here to help." The figures moved toward them, their steps slow but purposeful. Emma's mind raced. They needed to get to the orb, but these beings were blocking their path. Zevron had mentioned an ancient race leaving the device behind. Could these be their guardians? As the warriors closed in, Emma's instincts kicked in. She couldn't let them stop her. She had to trust that Zevron sent her here for a reason. Without a second thought, she rushed toward the orb, ignoring the pounding in her chest. "Emma, wait!" Max shouted, but it was too late. Emma reached out and touched the orb. A flash of light exploded from the center of the chamber, blinding her for a moment. When the light faded, Emma found herself standing in the same place, but something was different. The warriors had stopped moving, frozen in place, their glowing eyes dimmed. Max stood there, his mouth open in shock. What just happened? Emma glanced at the orb, which was now glowing softly in her hands. It felt warm and alive, like it was connected to her in some way. "I think I activated it." Before she could say anything else, a voice echoed through the chamber. It wasn't Zevron's, but it sounded just as ancient and wise. "The Protector has been chosen," the voice said. "The power to shield this world now resides within you." Max's eyes widened. "Wait, what? Protector? You? This world?" Emma felt the weight of the orb in her hands, and somehow she knew the voice was right. This device wasn't just a tool. It was a part of her now. She could feel its energy flowing through her veins, connecting her to something much larger than herself. But before she could process what that meant, the ground shook again, this time more violently. The air filled with a strange mechanical hum, like something massive was approaching. "They're here," Emma whispered, realizing with a cold chill that the invasion Zevron had warned her about had begun. "We need to get out of here," Max yelled, grabbing her arm. "We have to warn everyone." Emma nodded, gripping the orb tightly. Together, they ran back through the tunnel, the walls shaking as the hum grew louder. When they finally emerged from the monument, the night sky was lit up with streaks of light, spaceships descending from the heavens. The invaders had arrived. Max stared at the sky in horror. "What do we do now? How are we supposed to stop that?" Emma took a deep breath, feeling the orb's power surge within her. "I don't know exactly how this works, but I think I'm supposed to use this to protect Earth." Max looked at her like she was crazy. "Emma, you're not some superhero. This is insane." But Emma wasn't so sure anymore. She had been drawn into something far bigger than she ever imagined. But for the first time, she didn't feel scared. She felt ready. Before they could make a plan, a spaceship descended into the clearing, hovering just above the treetops. Emma's heart leaped with hope. This ship was familiar. It wasn't one of the invaders. The sleek silver craft looked just like Zevron's. The ship landed, and the door slid open with a soft whoosh. Zevron stepped out, his eyes filled with urgency. "Emma," he said, his voice filled with relief. "You found the device." Emma rushed toward him, her heart pounding with both joy and fear. "Zevron, the invaders. They're here." Zevron nodded grimly. "I know, but with the device, you can stop them. You can protect your world." "But how?" Emma asked, gripping the orb tightly. "I don't know what to do." Zevron stepped closer, placing a hand over hers. You don't have to do it alone. The device chose you because of your heart, your strength. Trust it, and trust yourself. Emma looked into Zevron's eyes, feeling the connection between them stronger than ever. She nodded, determination flooding her. Okay, I'll do it. The sky above them was now filled with alien ships, their engines roaring as they prepared to descend. The invasion had begun, but Emma wasn't going to let them take her world. She raised the orb above her head, feeling its power surge through her body. The air around her shimmered, and a brilliant light shot into the sky, forming a protective shield around the planet. The invader ships slammed into the shield, unable to penetrate it. One by one, they bounced off, unable to break through. Max stared in disbelief. You're doing it, Emma? You're actually saving the world. Zevron smiled, his eyes filled with admiration. I knew you could do it. Emma felt the energy flowing through her, but it wasn't just the orb's power. It was her own. She realized that the device had chosen her not just because she was strong, but because she cared deeply about the people she loved, her planet, and even those from other worlds. As the last of the invader ships retreated into the sky, the shield flickered, then disappeared. The threat was gone for now. Emma lowered the orb, her body trembling with exhaustion. Zevron caught her before she could collapse, holding her gently. You did it, Emma, he whispered. You saved Earth. Emma smiled weakly. With your help. As the dust settled, Max ran over, grinning from ear to ear. You just stopped an alien invasion. You're officially the coolest person I know. Emma laughed, despite how tired she felt. Thanks, Max. Zevron's expression turned serious. The invaders will be back. We've only bought time, but now that the device is active, Earth will be protected. You're its guardian, Emma. Emma nodded, feeling the weight of those words. I'll be ready when they come. Zevron smiled softly, his eyes filled with pride. I'll be with you, no matter where I am in the universe. I'll always find my way back to you. As the sun began to rise, casting a golden glow over the horizon, Emma knew this was just the beginning of her adventure. She had saved the world once, and she knew she would do it again if she had to. But most importantly, she knew that no matter how far apart they were, she and Zevron were connected, across worlds, across time, across the stars. The warm glow of the sunrise filled the clearing, casting long shadows as Emma, Max, and Zevron stood there, catching their breath. The tension of the invasion was over, but the weight of what had just happened still hung in the air. Max leaned against a tree, shaking his head in disbelief. So, let me get this straight. We're not just saving the world once. We're going to have to keep doing it? Because that sounds exhausting. Emma chuckled, though she shared his concern. I guess that's what happens when you become the guardian of Earth. Max sighed dramatically. Of course you would get superpowers from an ancient alien relic. I can't even keep a houseplant alive. Zevron, smiling at Max's attempt to lighten the mood, gently took Emma's hand. You've done more than you realize, Emma. The shield you activated was powerful, but it's just the beginning. The true potential of the device is still untapped. You'll need to train, learn how to control it fully. Emma's eyes widened. Train? How do I train to be a galactic protector? Zevron's expression turned thoughtful. You'll need guidance, knowledge that only my people, the Valtonians, can provide. I can take you to Valtoria. Emma's heart skipped a beat. You wanted to go to your planet? Zevron nodded. Yes. On Valtoria, we have technology and wisdom that will help you unlock the orb's full power. There are dangers ahead, Emma. The invaders who came tonight were just scouts. The real threat is still out there, and they will return stronger. Max, who had been listening quietly, suddenly spoke up. Wait, so you're saying Emma has to leave Earth and go to a different planet? For how long? Emma felt a pang of fear at the thought. How long would I be gone, Zevron? Zevron hesitated, his eyes flickering with sadness. Time on Valtoria passes differently. What might feel like weeks, there could be months or even years here. Emma's chest tightened. She had only just saved the world, and now she was faced with the idea of leaving it, and everyone she loved behind. She looked at Max, who had been her best friend through everything, and a wave of guilt washed over her. Max forced a smile. Hey, don't worry about me. I'll manage. You've got bigger things to take care of, like saving the universe and hanging out with alien royalty. Emma's heart ached. Max, I can't just leave you. Max shrugged, trying to play it cool. You'll be back, right? Besides, Earth isn't going anywhere. Zevron, sensing Emma's hesitation, spoke softly. The choice is yours, Emma. You don't have to leave now. The orb has given Earth temporary protection, but to ensure its safety in the long run, you'll need to understand its true power. I don't want to pressure you. Emma looked down at the glowing orb in her hand. It had saved Earth tonight, but she knew Zevron was right. The real battle hadn't even begun. But leaving Earth, leaving her life, felt like an impossible decision. Before she could answer, a sudden ripple of energy passed through the air, and a blinding flash of light erupted from the sky. Emma shielded her eyes, and when the light faded, a new figure stood in the clearing. A tall, imposing figure in dark armor, his eyes burning with a fierce, unnatural glow. He was unlike anything Emma had ever seen before, alien, but not like Zevron. This one radiated malice. Zevron's body tensed. No, it can't be. The figure's voice was deep and filled with contempt. Ah, Zevron, I should have known you'd be here, protecting the humans. Zevron stepped forward, placing himself between Emma and the figure. Drakner, he said, his voice steady but filled with tension. What are you doing here? I thought your kind had given up their conquest of the inner worlds. Drakner smirked, his eyes gleaming with sinister amusement. We never give up, Zevron. You of all people should know that. He turned his gaze to Emma, his expression darkening. So, this is the human girl who is bonded with the Protector's orb. How pathetic. Emma felt a chill run down her spine. Drakner's presence was suffocating, and every instinct in her body screamed danger. Zevron's hand tightened around the hilt of a weapon that had materialized from his suit. Leave now, Drakner. You have no claim here. Drakner chuckled. Oh, but I do. The Protector's orb is far too powerful to be in the hands of a weak, primitive species like humans. My empire will take it, and with it, we will conquer not just Earth, but the entire galaxy. Max, who had been standing back in shock, finally found his voice. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Conquer the galaxy? That's like the worst plan I've ever heard. Drakner's eyes flicked to Max, and he sneered. Silence, human. You're insignificant. Max crossed his arms defiantly. Hey, buddy, I'm extremely significant. Emma's mind raced. Drakner was here for the orb, and if he got it, Earth and the entire galaxy would be in danger. She couldn't let that happen. She had to fight, but she wasn't ready. Not yet. Zevron glanced at her, his eyes filled with urgency. Emma, you need to use the orb. It's the only way to stop him. Emma looked down at the orb, feeling its power pulsing in her hands. But I don't know how. I don't know if I'm strong enough. You are, Zevron said, his voice firm. The orb chose you for a reason. Trust yourself. Drakner, sensing her hesitation, smirked. You don't stand a chance, human. Emma's heart pounded, but she knew this was it. This was the moment that would decide everything. She took a deep breath and focused on the orb, feeling its energy surge through her. It felt like electricity coursing through her veins, but instead of overwhelming her, it filled her with strength. The symbols on the orb began to glow brighter, and a soft hum filled the air. Emma raised it above her head, and a brilliant beam of light shot out, surrounding her in a protective aura. The ground beneath her feet trembled as the orb's power fully awakened. Drakner's smirk faded, replaced by a look of surprise. What is this? Emma's voice was steady now, filled with newfound confidence. This is me protecting my world. With a single thought, she unleashed the orb's energy. A wave of light shot out from her, slamming into Drakner and sending him flying across the clearing. He crashed into the trees with a thunderous impact, the ground shaking as he hit. Zevron stood beside her, his eyes filled with awe. You did it, but it wasn't over. Drakner struggled to his feet, his armor cracked, but his eyes burning with rage. You think this is over, human? I will return, and next time, I won't be alone. With that, he vanished in a burst of dark energy, leaving behind a ripple in the air where he had stood. Emma lowered the orb, her body trembling with exhaustion. The power had drained her, but she had done it. She had driven Drakner away, at least for now. Max let out a long breath. Okay, that was intense. Are we done saving the world now? Emma smiled weakly. For tonight, maybe. Zevron stepped closer, placing a hand on her shoulder. You were incredible, Emma. But Drakner will be back, and he won't stop until he gets the orb. Emma nodded, knowing he was right. The fight was far from over. I'll go to Valtoria, she said finally. I'll train. I'll do whatever it takes to protect Earth. Zevron's eyes softened, filled with admiration. I'll be with you every step of the way. Max groaned dramatically. Great. More alien adventures. Just promise me one thing, Emma. Don't forget about us Earthlings while you're off saving the galaxy. Emma smiled, feeling a mix of fear and excitement for what lay ahead. I could never forget you, Max. As they stood there, the night sky slowly returning to its peaceful state, Emma knew that this was just the beginning of her journey. The orb had chosen her for a reason, and she would rise to meet whatever challenges came next. With Zevron by her side and the universe to protect, Emma was ready for whatever the stars had in store. The stars twinkled brightly above as Emma stood on the balcony of Zevron's ship, her heart heavy but filled with a strange sense of peace. Valtoria, Zevron's home planet, shimmered on the horizon like a gem floating in the vastness of space. The long months of training had tested her in every possible way, both physically and emotionally. She had learned to harness the orb's power, to understand its ancient secrets, and now she was ready. But there was one decision she hadn't made yet. Earth was safe, at least for now. Drakner had been defeated once more, his forces scattered across the galaxy. But Emma knew the fight wasn't over forever. The universe would always need protectors, people like Zevron and her. Max had returned to Earth, joking that he was happy to let the space hero thing be Emma's full-time job while he reigned supreme in their local trivia nights. But Emma had caught the way his eyes softened when he said goodbye to her before leaving Valtoria. She had made a promise to him that day, that she would visit Earth often, no matter what. But tonight, it was just her and Zevron under the vast, glittering cosmos. The orb now rested inside a small compartment in her suit, its glow always warm against her skin, a reminder of the bond they shared. Thinking of home? Zevron's soft voice pulled her from her thoughts. He stepped up beside her, his presence comforting and familiar. Emma smiled gently. Always. It's strange. After everything, Earth still feels like home, but so does this. She motioned to the endless stretch of stars, to the ship that had become her second home. I never thought I'd fall in love with space. Zevron chuckled. Space is a way of doing that. For a long moment, they stood in comfortable silence, the weight of their journey together settling between them. Emma glanced at Zevron, her heart fluttering. In all the chaos of saving worlds and battling ancient enemies, one thing had grown stronger: her feelings for him. She had tried to bury it at first, unsure if it was real or just the heat of the moment. But over time, it had become undeniable. Zevron had been her guide, her protector. But more than that, he had become the one person who truly understood her. He had seen her at her weakest, her strongest, and still stood beside her, never wavering. But did he feel the same? Before she could stop herself, Emma spoke, her voice softer than she intended. Zevron, what happens next? He turned to face her, his eyes glowing softly in the dim light. Next, we keep fighting for the galaxy, protecting the innocent together. Emma swallowed, her throat tight. But after that? Where do we go from here? Where do we go? Zevron's expression softened, and for the first time since they met, Emma saw a vulnerability in his eyes. He reached out, gently taking her hand in his. The warmth of his touch sent a shiver down her spine. Emma, he began, his voice steady but filled with emotion. From the moment I met you, I knew you were different. Your strength, your kindness, your heart. It's unlike anything I've ever known. I've traveled to countless worlds, met beings from every corner of the galaxy, but I've never met anyone like you. Emma's heart raced as she listened, her breath catching in her chest. "I never thought I could feel this way," Zevron continued, his thumb gently brushing against her knuckles. "I've lived so long among the stars, always focused on my duty, on the mission. But you've shown me that there's more to life than just duty. You've made me feel alive in a way I never have before." Emma's eyes filled with tears, her heart swelling with emotion. "Zevron, her voice broke, but she steadied herself. "I feel the same. I never imagined this life, any of it. But you've become so much more than just someone I fight alongside. I don't want to imagine a life without you." Zevron's hand tightened around hers, his eyes searching hers with an intensity that made her heart skip a beat. "Then don't." Before she could say another word, Zevron closed the space between them, his lips brushing against hers in the softest, sweetest kiss. It felt like the universe had stopped, like the stars themselves had dimmed to give them this moment. Emma melted into him, her arms wrapping around his neck as she deepened the kiss, letting herself finally surrender to the feeling she had been holding back for so long. When they finally pulled apart, Zevron rested his forehead against hers, his breath warm against her skin. "Stay with me, Emma. Stay among the stars. Together, we can protect not just Earth, but the entire galaxy. You don't have to choose between your home and the life we've built here. You can have both." Emma smiled through her tears, her heart full. "I don't want to choose. I want to be with you." Zevron's eyes sparkled, his lips curving into a smile. "Then you will be." As they stood there, wrapped in each other's arms under the endless expanse of stars, Emma realized that she had found something she never knew she was looking for. A love that stretched across worlds, across time. A love that made her feel like she was truly home, no matter where in the galaxy she was. And as they turned to face the future, hand in hand, Emma knew that whatever challenges lay ahead, whatever battles they would face them together. For the first time in her life, she was ready to embrace the unknown, knowing that with Zevron by her side, there was nothing they couldn't overcome. The stars twinkled above, as if to bless their love, as Emma and Zevron began their new journey. Two souls bound by fate, love, and the promise of a future filled with endless possibilities.